Camp attention. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live show. Thank you so much. Oh, man, we have a bunch of people who have already joined us. Mike, are you there, my man?
I am here.
He is helping me out all the way from Minnesota, where it's raining like crazy.
Yes, it is.
We are down here in the South. We've been having some very sunny days, which makes me kind of nervous for a hurricane. But that's just how it is in Florida. But it just go ahead and type in where you are watching us from. If you have questions, this is an open forum. Mike's going to keep me on the ball. He's going to jump in and make sure I get to the questions. I didn't have him last time, and we went 2 hours. So it was one of those things. It is so wonderful to have Mike there to help out with the comments, and I love seeing them. So if we got something new, Mike, what do we got? Anything?
Let me see. I
see a few in here. They're just piling in. That's great. What's our first big question of the day?
Okay, our first question.
There you go.
Okay. I'm unfortunately echoing, not sure why.
Well, we do have, let's see. We've got Timothy. He says, good evening, all. Yes, Timothy. Relental.
Good evening, all. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So we do have some that are just saying hello. It'd be nice to know where you're from. Now, I could say, hi would be Hawaii, right? I know scouts in Hawaii. So, okay. What is that? Cowboy Bigfoot. Yes. Love some of these names. That's for sure. We got our first questions right here. Let's see.
Okay. From Relanto.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out what I did. With my microphone.
It is, let's see. We got, let's see. I saw something that suggested YPT will become an annual requirement. Oh, it's a funny thing you mentioned that. I tell scouters and parents that they should do it every year. There's nothing that says you can't. It does say that you have to do it every 2 years, but go ahead and do it every year because things change. Things happen, there's new things that they want people to be aware of. It is good training. And I believe that every adult in the unit should have gone through YPT. I think that's important. We have to keep our youth safe. There's so many things coming up with telephones and internet and, for us gray hairs, we often don't think about that, but this kind of training does bring that to mind, and that's very important. We have to keep our youth safe. Very important.
I think that some councils require that YPT be current for the full year before someone's allowed to re-register or a unit can recharter.
That's probably very good. I mean, it's safe because a lot of times when they do the background check, it may take some time. Now, once they do the background check, the renewal is rather easy. They can just, the renewal part is very simple. They can just keep checking up on it. So if things happened, you got to keep the kids around people that you can trust. That's very important. Do we have another question there?
Neil from Seattle says it's raining. Oh,
awesome.
Comments it's rain here at least. Well, I think Florida and Seattle are probably known for rain more than Minnesota, but
when it rains here, it rains.
James is heading to Florida Sea Base tomorrow.
Awesome.
So we'll see how the weather is. I
Yeah,
guess probably the school year is over for some schools. It's
all
we
of
have a couple
Florida
of days left.
practically is done. May the end of May. That's when all the schools let out. It's also all the graduations happen. A lot of Eagle Scouts get their Eagle. You know, it's kind of a rite of passage for a lot of young people, and that's the wonderful thing. As the advancement person in my little district, I'll tell you what, I've been doing a lot of Eagle boards of review. So, and it is a really good thing to see young people making those commitments and really doing that. And on the sea-based side, they should be great down there. And Key Largo, I think, is where that is. It's the first Keys going in on Route 1 as you get down in the Keys. If you've ever been in the Keys, the water is stunningly beautiful. It is from the bridge, from the road, you can see a lot of the water all around, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. The white sand reflecting through that turquoise colored water is just, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So if you have a moment, that is a beautiful place to go. Sea-Base is one of the jewels in the crown of scouting. It is a wonderful, wonderful adventure, high adventure for a lot of scouts. So definitely do it.
And
do we have another one?
Cowboy Bigfoot is hailing from Bakersfield, California.
Awesome. Bakersfield,
Light Guy 911, hello from Pack 957 and Troop 957.
Wow.
COR, Lake District, Central Florida Council. Okay.
Yeah. You know, we have in our council, in our area, we have an honor guard troop called 911. And that is, and they do the colors, and they have they are snazzy. They got the nice uniforms with the gloves and the flag, and they do an outstanding job. And I think that might be where Light Guy actually is from. So it might be from them.
Timothy is joining us from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and it's cloudy.
Awesome. Wow. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Scout Hero 54 says hi.
Good.
Josh S., bright and partly cloudy in Los Angeles. Aaron is joining us from Kansas, Troop 114 in Scott, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, hi from Kansas.
Awesome. Kansas.
Mendel says, Long Beach, California. Is NYLT worth it for scouts? That sounds like a great question.
Darn right. NYLT, National Youth Leadership Training. It's been around for a very long time. And the neat thing about NYLT, National Youth, an acronym is one of those things. You know, as far as scouters, we love to use our acronyms. But National Youth Leadership Training is part of the old youth leadership training that they didn't have the national part. And it is so critical that if you have patrol leaders or senior patrol leaders who are thinking about going to that, keep this in mind. There are troops in my council and in my district that actually put money aside for that because they are going to send those scouts. That's how important that is. They do that because they are very successful youth run unit. And because of that, the NYLT program, it's a lot like the Wood Badge for youth. So it is the highest training you can get in youth leadership. So if you have a unit, you're thinking about it, NYLT, National Youth Leadership Training, is what you want to do. You want to encourage as many scouts to go to that. A lot of councils may only offer it once every other year. Some offer it twice a year. And there might even be more than one contingent at a time. So you have to check in your area. It depends on where you are. It is intense training for youth, and I highly recommend it. Now, if you want to go big time, you can go to NAIL. and that's another acronym. It's the same thing, but it's done at Philmont. So that is huge, doing that at a high adventure base. So definitely think about those things. So I recommend it. That's for sure.
Relantel, one of our members that always joins the live broadcast. NYLT is worth it, and he's getting his own son to decide to go. That's a struggle.
Definitely. The one thing that I like about the National Youth Leadership Training is that it's run by youth. So it's not scary to the youth. The youth, it's like going to a regular summer camp for a week. It's not scary. It's not like there's going to be adults and drill sergeants and people yelling at you or anything. Don't let them. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to see movies. You're going to have fun with friends. You're going to make new friends with other troops and other things that are going on in your council, your district, even with the Order of the Arrow. So there's people from just about everything in scouting. So this is a wonderful way to get even more involved as a youth with youth. That's what's neat about it. Now, of course, your scoutmaster and your quartermaster and those people are the old fuddy-duddy adults. But, the youth, they're going to have a great time. And that's one of those things they'll always remember. Very important.
It's often said that scouts are more interested in anything from an adult other than mom and dad is always more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Josh S. says NYLT is totally worth it. And as a young adult leader, I wish I had done it as a youth. Okay.
Yep. It was around then. It wasn't called the National Youth Leadership Training. It was called just Youth Leadership Training. That was, I think it was it was Patrol Leader Training, PLT, or something like that. It had a genie lamp that was smoking, like a genie was coming out of the lamp on the patch. And that was the forerunner of what became NYLT. So back in our day, back 60s, 70s, and 80s even, they had stuff like that. And then this took over from it. It is so much more elaborate. You get to learn so much more. It's very similar to the adult, what they call the adult wood badge. So it's very similar to that, but this is meant for the youth, and it is run by youth. This is something you may not know about NYLT. It takes a year to actually put a course together. All of the staff meet monthly, if not bi-monthly, to really learn what they're going to be presenting and how that's presented and fun ways to present things. It's a amazing thing. And they go through a whole year of training before they go and do the actual syllabus per se for the youth. And that is a neat thing. And it's definitely worth going to. And, we have some of the best youth leaders doing this, and it is amazing. From the adult standpoint, if you're asked to be in the quartermaster staff or help out with assistant scoutmaster or something like that would be a great place for the adults to get involved. So that's definitely a possibility.
Relantel says that NYLT is wood badge for youth. I think you just said that.
I've been confirmed.
Okay. Oh, okay. This one. My son's dad had a kid moving away from New York to Florida. Okay.
Oh, wow. So he's going from New York to Florida? Oh, he's moving. Okay. Moving
to Florida. All right.
Wow.
Hopefully everyone knows that I believe the website is beascout.org. You can put in a zip code and find the units in your new zip code. So.
And shop around. Go to several units. So definitely do that. That is a wonderful thing. And in fact, not all units are the same. I was telling somebody that in the comments on the channel. I said, definitely, because some are very focused on high adventure or big things like going to Scotland or something like that. Those are great and they're wonderful, but that's their focus. And if that's your focus, you found a good match. But if you want to do traditional scouting where you get a lot of leadership training and scout skills and stuff like that, there's units that just focus on that. So shop around. Don't just quit scouting. Not every unit's the same. There's different leaders, different styles, different look and feel of the whole scouting experience. That's the one thing about scouting is you don't quit scouting, you upgrade. You go to something that fits what you want to get out of scouting. There's always something out there for every scout, and scouters works both ways. You want to make sure that the scouter and the scout, if they're together, it's the same unit. It's very difficult to have them in separate units. I tried my best when I was a youth to go to one unit and not the same as my brothers. And my parents weren't having it. They said, we're driving you to one. So, of course, my older brother won. So I had to go to his and be his younger brother.
All right. Pin King 554, another frequent participant on the live show.
Yes.
Went to NYLT in 2009 and was staff in 2010 and still uses the skills learned from it today. Yeah. And Pin King's advice, if a scout has a chance to go, then go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those great things. I mentioned there's troops out there that actually include a small fee for everyone in the unit to take the senior patrol leader and to NYLT to actually sign them up and pay for it. Because it is a week at summer camp, or a winter camp. If you're in Florida, we have a winter one and we have a summer one. So depends on where you are. That's the neat thing about NYLT. You want to make sure that the funding is there from your troop and help out doing that. If funds are an issue on just about anything with scouting, you can find somebody. There's ways to raise money. You can do that. There's no reason mom and dad have to pay for everything. Okay. I tell that to a lot of scouts. I'm like, you can raise money. You can just do things, that will pay for your scouting. That's a big thing. We want them to be thrifty, right? Isn't that one of the scout laws?
I have to say, as a scout family from Minnesota, winter camp in Florida sounds very appealing to all of us. We might have to check it out sometime.
Winter camp goes from Christmas, the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, all the way to New Year's Eve. That's winter camp. So,
okay, Pin King says that his troop sends 3 to 4 scouts to NYLT every year. They have scholarships.
Awesome. That's the way to do it. You got it right. You got it right, because if you've got the funding there, that's it's just a matter of getting the scout to go. And when they come back, oh my gosh, you've got some of the best youth leaders that you could ever imagine. So definitely think about it. Think about supporting that with your unit. Definitely.
All right. Corianne said our troop went from linked, and I believe this is a boy troop and a girl troop that were connected, to not being linked and back to being linked. And I believe they're now considering the pilot program for mixed troops that's starting in the fall. And do you have any thoughts on the co-ed troops?
The co-ed ideal is something that they're experimenting with. The major problem that they're having, and if you're not, let me back up for a moment before I get too much into their problems. Linked troops means that they share the same equipment, the same adult leaders, and the same committee with the same charter. That's a linked troop. It's a boy troop and a girl troop. So that's what a linked troop is. Unlinked or co-ed is something they're thinking about putting together. The boys and the girls. Usually the girls would have their own patrols and boys would have their own patrols. They're having issues. Here's the number one issue is that you're dealing with teenagers. You're dealing with teenage girls and teenage boys. And when you are looking for leadership, the girls are more than happy to step up. And the boys don't want to look silly, and they will step back. So that's the problem they're having. That's just nature. Okay. That's what that is. You look at schools, even the schools are having problems with their co-ed things because of that. So I don't think that that's something that maybe that's nature. I don't know. We don't really know. That may or may not work out. But regardless, if there is co-ed troops out there and they're experimenting with the mixture of that, of course, that's all within YPT, the Youth Protection Training. It's always a part of that. But if they're mixing that up, it may be good for that unit and that charter. Some charters absolutely say no. And they have every right to say so if that's what they want. They want boys to have a boy troop. And there are people that want to put their boys in a boy troop. They don't want that problems and issues that might arise from being a mixed troop. That's up to the parents. It's up to the scout. I think it's wonderful. Either you have a choice. That's the neat thing. And that's true for the girls and so on. So it really is going to depend on the charter. The charter owns the unit. So if the charter does not want a co-ed thing, it won't be. They will not recharter. They won't charter it. So that's where they're having some of the issues. Okay. So hopefully they can work something out in the experiments. I believe Central Florida said we've done a lot of experiments in the past and we're going to take a pass on this one for a little while because we're not really going to be experimenting with that right away. But if they come up with a program that works, well, I'm sure there'll be charters out there that would be very interested. So I think that's where it's going to end up.
Okay, Steve commented, my council recently announced that next year there will be a mandatory $85 council adventure fee in addition to the $85 national fee and any Packer troop dues. Are council fees common?
You mean the council fees? The council fees are common. That is kind of a new thing that came up about 4 or 5 years ago, where councils relied heavily on Friends of Scouting to fund a lot of the activities. Well, that wasn't working out. So they chose to have a council fee that included you're already registered for the district camporee. If you're in a troop, you're registered to go. That's part of your fees. So it varies from council to council. Some councils have that, some don't. If you're in a Cub Scout pack, you probably are also getting a lot of other things like the council or the district's Pinewood Derby races or something like that. That might actually be part of that fee. There's a lot of stuff that's included with that. And it's really to get the units to kind of do some of the bigger activities that they can fund and really get a lot of good scouting activities going. So it's a good thing. It's an experiment that they started about 4 years ago. And I think they've continued from there. I think that's what these fees are. It does add up. If you've got 3 kids and they're in Cub Scouting and one's in, often a crew or a troop, I mean, it can get expensive because it depends on what they're doing. So always keep in mind, scouting always gives an opportunity to help fund your adventure in scouting. And that's one of those things that they're doing. It might be more expensive because of activities that you're prepaying for. There's insurance. There's all these other things that are in there. And that's one of those things that your district your district recruiters should have a list of all the things that includes. So ask for it. Ask for it. You'll be surprised. A lot of stuff is included. So, and because of that fee. And so definitely take advantage of that. You're paid for it. So that's part of it. But that's one of those things that is in the past, we had, when we recruited, we would prorate the rest of the year. And it seemed that people just joining would get very upset when the full amount would come in January. Okay. So they said, well, wait a minute. I joined for, $45. Well, yeah, from November to the end of the year, that was the $45. Now it's a lot more. So they get a little upset about that. But now membership is dependent on when you join. It's a full 12 months. It goes over and over again, and you do all of your registering that way. This is going to make rechartering very easy, I believe, because half of the problem with recharter, half of the stress that's involved with recharter is making sure that everybody on that list has their money in, and here's a huge check from the unit that they've collected for the full year. Now that the scouts are doing it on their own and they're individual, you'll just be going down the list of these people have renewed, these people will be renewing, these people didn't. So you'll have a list like that. It makes it a lot easier as far as rechartering in the future. And of course, these fees, that's something that's there. So
rechartering seems like a big project, especially for the council registrar. So
yes. And they oh my gosh, the council registrar, I believe, has almost finished this year's putting it in for our council.
So on the note of the council registrar, we have the question, can you dual register a youth who is moving from one state to another so they can still try to make an annual camping trip with the old pack out of state? So I would say that since I have some experience with this, being registered in two councils, talk to the registrar of both councils. My personal advice is multi-register perhaps for the council that you're going into and keep your current one as primary until you're done with the camping trip. That way the current primary unit can sign off requirements, because the key thing I've heard is you don't want to be in, if you have different council sign off requirements, things get complicated.
Yes. And you want to make that easy. The last place you want is when you get down to filling out the application for Eagle and all the dates are messed up because it's in different units in different places. And that messes things up and makes a big delay. And sometimes that delay is not good. So you have to make your advancement consistent. Like I agree with you, Mike, on that one, because you have to stick with a unit. It's the one you're going to. So that's the one you want to be in. It's great that he probably has friends, he or she has friends over in the other pack and wants to go to things with them. And that's great. Just pay whatever those additional fees are for that, or whatever they've already paid for. Take advantage of that. That falls into line with the council stuff. So if you're doing that, the council stuff could include something for day camp or for summer camp. So that's one of those things that might be in there. So you want to make sure that those are not left on the table. You want to make sure you use them, and don't want to mess up their advancement either. So that is so important.
Okay. We have James commenting about JYLT.
Yes, Junior Youth Leader Training. Yeah,
okay.
JYL. Yeah, I think that's what it was called back in the 70s. Yeah. JTL, I think, was another acronym that they use. So,
and Light Guy 911 echoed some of the things that you said about council fees. So,
yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Friends
Someone
of Scouting,
says-
by the way. Friends of Scouting, going back to what like guy 911 said, Friends of Scouting is still around. So definitely, if you can, take advantage of that. Definitely contribute. That helps with the things that are unforeseen that need to be funded. So definitely look into it. Anyways.
Okay. Hillary from Georgia says Mike is going to be a huge help on the live streams, and hello from Atlanta. I'm just a scouting voice without a face. Just a moderator.
Well, I'll be his pretty face.
And Stan has camera. He's watching me too. I have a camera just in case we want to exchange hand signals or something. But
well, as long as they're nice hand signals.
if I lose audio and need to wave or something, I'll let you know. But yeah.
That's so funny. Thank you, Hillary.
Okay. Junior youth leadership training
Yep.
was apparently existed from 1981 to 2005, according to Timothy. Okay.
Very cool. Yeah, the NYLT didn't really take off until the 2000s. So that was cool.
And Myron said in our council, the Heart of Virginia Council, it's interesting. We have 2 youth leadership trainings in the summer, NYLT and Buckskin.
Wow. We have the bear. We do a bear training, which is, it's almost bear is I think it's very similar to the buckskin thing that they do in the Heart of Virginia, or I believe that's the council. Yes. And bear here in Central Florida is a lot of athletic skills and climbing, and it's almost what do they call that? It's a very athletic thing. There's a relay race, and there's a bunch of other things, zip lines, and they do a lot of very cool stuff. A lot of I think it was called, gosh, they're kind of trying to remember it. It was it's like Dare or something like that, or not SOAR. It's called, there's an acronym for it and I can't remember. Anyways, it's where you climb up and climb across things up high and do a lot of that kind of adventure. And that's kind of what the bear is. And I think buckskin is very similar. And I believe Heart of Virginia has Mikusei up there. I believe that's up there in that area. The Heartland Council, I believe that's in there. So buckskin might be involved in that too.
Well, and I just have to comment, we have 27 people watching. I guess I'm one, you're one. So other than us, there's 25. My kids might count as one in the other room, so they're 24. But
well, even people that bounce in and bounce out, they count as 2.
Okay. I see we only have one thumbs up. So if everyone can please click the thumbs up, that will rank this video more highly. So YouTube will hopefully help more people to find this video. That's
true. We have banners for that, don't we? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we didn't put those banners up this
there it is.
There it is. Good. Hillary says, I think it was
Cope.
It was junior leadership training, not JYLT, although it was for youth. And Hillary attended JLT in 1984.
Wow.
In the Chief Seattle Council. Okay.
Yeah. Cope. I see a lot of people put that in there. I was trying to remember that name. Cope. Yes. That's what the bear here in Central Florida is a lot like. Cope. They do a lot of climbing and high up stuff where they go from little steps to, it is just amazing. It helps on self-confidence. It is just amazing. Okay. So the bear is wonderful. So it's a lot like Cope.
Timothy commented that most councils, I think, charge a council membership fee in addition to the national fee. And there's very few councils that charge only the national fee. It would be hard to imagine that a council wouldn't charge a fee, but
yeah. Well, they would have to have somebody funding them, because, these fees, we're a charity. And, that's one of the things. A lot of the executives and people who do this professionally, I'm a volunteer. Mike's a volunteer. We don't get paid. It's a labor of love. We do it for teaching young people how to be great leaders and make good moral decisions. That's really what we're doing this for. But there are people that we pay that we need to keep paying, but they don't get paid all that much. And that's one of the things we need to be thankful for, is that we have people that are professionals and do the things that volunteers don't want to do. They have to do the icky stuff. They, they might have to clean up that kitchen in the back of the camp. But that's the thing. Us volunteers are very thankful for them, and they derive some of their income from that. So, got to keep that in mind.
Light Guy 911 said everyone should come down to Camp Nochila. I believe that's in the Central Florida Council. That's your council, Stan?
No, let's see. That's my big camp.
Sorry, La Noche. Sorry, I misspoke.
La Noche, yes. It's Lake Norris. They use the first letter. Lake Norris. But that La Noche is a wonderful camp. So I've always thought that they don't really advertise outside of Florida. I don't know why, but they need to do. They used to put it in the Old Boys Life. They used to put the little ads in there. That is a beautiful, beautiful camp. It's they have a swimming pool it's the largest pool I've ever seen in my life. It is gigantic. It's like 5 Olympic swimming pools tied together. It's enormous. They have a lot of waterfront activities, sailboats. They do motorboat. They do water skiing. They do it all. Jet skis. They have jet skis. They have just about everything. They have ATV. They have an ATV trail. They have dirt bike. They have, I think there's 2 climbing towers. There's one near camp, near the middle of the camp. And then there's one way out by the zip lines. So it is amazing. Okay. So if you're in Central Florida, if you're from Georgia or Alabama, or even as far north as Virginia, if you're in the South, it's not that far away. Yes, it is Florida. It's tropical camping. It's summertime. But, I was in a troop where we always went up north, way up north. And it was just as hot there as it was back at home. So heat is it depends on when and where you are. So, and tropical camping, that's the way I always look at Florida in the summer. It's an experience that a lot of people try to avoid, and they should experience it. So there are lots of places to cool down. We have a beautiful dining hall that's fully air conditioned. Almost every building at the camp is air conditioned. We have a museum on property. It's nice. It is very nice. So if you're thinking of a camp to go to, that's wonderful. Here's the kicker. It's in Central Florida. By the way, Central Florida's got a lot of other things here. We've got Universal. We got Islands of Adventure, which is part of the Universal. We've got Disney. We have Space Center. We have all these things in Central Florida. So when you go up north and you go off to do Whitewater Rapids, you can easily go to the fun park, of your choice. It could be, we have the Space Coast. I think in May we had 4 launches of rockets into space. So, and we have one that's waiting on the pad to go up. It's a manned mission. So, yeah, it's exciting, Central Florida. So you can definitely find something to do in Central Florida and have a lot of fun. Be a great vacation.
I just have to give a plug for I believe it's scoutingevent.com. The many councils, probably most councils, list their events on that website. And, even if your council, has some interesting stuff, an adjacent council or a council that's within the driving or travel distance that you may want to go might have some really super stuff. And I believe the camp La Noche does list activities, and at a certain time of year they'll list the winter camp on that website. If someone from out of council is traveling there, of course they'll have to look at requirements for 2 deep leadership or something like that. But
yeah, well, a lot of times they will do Provo, so there's a Provo available if it's just 1 or 2 scouts.
Okay, we have Relantel, was JLTC back in 1987.
Yep.
And he still has a 2-inch binder of course papers from back then. Lots of songs, pioneering projects, how-to, mini event planners, troop and patrol, and Baden-Powell Award.
Yeah. It is amazing. There's a lot of things that have changed, and there's an amazing difference between the different courses. So, as a youth, I think that joining in and helping out for the new course, that would definitely be a neat experience. Mike, I saw a comment about North Florida. Is that Shan's? I think it's this one here.
Okay.
Shan. Yeah. North Florida has a great camp too. It's near Jacksonville, and Camp Shan's. And it is a nice camp. I've done a week there. It's very nice. Very nice. They have, a lot of camps have that wooden floor in their tent. Chan's actually has concrete. It's a concrete floor and electricity in every tent. So you can keep your camera charged up, and that's a nice thing. Or a fan if it's warm. You can have a fan in there. So that is a nice thing. So Shan's is also another nice camp that I've been to.
Okay, and Myron has a question that some councils require YPT yearly instead of every 2 years, and I believe it's still good for 2 years, but they require that it be your expiration date be after the end of your registration.
Right. So that's where it becomes yearly, because you have to. Your registration could change each year. Well, yeah, depending on where you joined. Now that it's an annual 12 months, yes, you have to keep it that way. The 2 years keeps it from lapsing while your membership is going. So that's the reason they do the 2 years. But annually, I think do them annually. It's very easy to do them online. You can do them on your time. You don't have to wait, and just keep it up to date. Do it every June. Let's make June the month to do YPT.
I think Relantel commented that I guess some councils might be requiring YPT for youth that are 16 or older. Okay.
Yep. When I was director for the day camp, we had youth that were over 16, and I believe the council wanted us to have a completion certificate for those youth leaders that were involved with the day camp. I don't see a problem with that. It is important to get the training, regardless. I believe parents should also get it too. And I tell people this all the time. Make sure that your parents know it's recommended. It's not required. It's not like you're a registered leader, but it's highly recommended that you take the training so that you're aware of why the Cub Master is not to take Johnny aside. Okay. You know why, because of YPT. You know that there's 2 deep leadership. You know that that's what should be done. And you are a reporter too. So that's the thing about YPT. You need to be aware of what's going on. And that is such a absolutely critical thing for adult leaders. Super important.
Okay. And I have a comment from Aaron that is an assistant scoutmaster in a troop. And some youth don't want to help out with things. So question what to do about that.
Well, I've actually had that issue when I was a youth. I had some youth in a troop that weren't being friendly or courteous, and I had to remind them. Here I'm a youth, reminding other youth about it. The Scout Law is something that everyone should take to heart and really believe in, and try to make sure that you are helping others at all times. That's part of our oath. So these are very important things. I always point, the Scout sign has 3 promises, right? That's the promise. That's our oath that we do. We have 3 different promises. And the one in the middle is, of course, to help others at all times. The one on the end is for you as an individual to keep yourself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And then at the very beginning, you're promising on your honor to God and country, to obey the Scout Law. So it's all tied together. And that's the important thing about the Scout Oath and Scout Law. As a youth, as an adult, reminding youth and adults, believe me, sometimes adults have to be reminded too. Live your life in that way, by the Scout Oath, by the Scout Law. It is great. Okay. It is one of those things we need to teach and be that example to the youth. And if they're not being helpful and they don't want to get involved, maybe scouting isn't for them. Maybe the message isn't getting through. Maybe they need to reconsider and think about it. So that's when it gets real serious. And so if you're having those problems, especially with youth, I think just sitting down with them, maybe do a little Scoutmaster's Minute with them, of course, 2 Deep Leadership, and just talk about why. Why don't you want to do these things? Why don't you want to help others? These are hard questions. And that is one of the things that scouting does. It helps youth make good decisions, and hopefully for a lifetime. So, and I always think of, if the world was in a scout troop, and if the world adopted the Scout Oath and Scout Law, I think we'd live in a totally different world. It would be so much nicer to one another, because there's everybody helping one another, all trying to do good turns for one another. Could you imagine? It would just be amazing. So that's what I would bring to their attention.
And we have another viewer comment that there's a council they're familiar with that does not have a council fee because they get a great deal of corporate support. So that's wonderful to get corporate support.
Sure is. And that really lowers your cost too. If the fee is really high, it's because they're not getting those sponsors. They're not getting those donations from different organizations. That could be the other issue. That could be the other issue why it might be a little higher than it was in the past. So keep that in mind also.
Okay, and a comment that youth that are on staff at summer camp, there are some cases where scouts that are older scouts that are maybe not yet 18 can be staff at summer camp, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was one of those young CITs way up in Wisconsin. So that was, it depends on the camp. Some camps, they can't have the counselor if they're under 18, but if they're over 18, of course, they're treated as adults. So in the scouting program, Scouting America type of realm. There is some maintenance stuff that I want to make sure gets mentioned. With the members, I've been talking with the members, and there was some discussion about changing up some of the postings of videos on the channel. And I thought about it for a very long. I took like a week and just sort of, whenever I had a break, I would sit there and try to say, okay, well, if I do this, what happens there? And I was trying to be strategic in that planning. And I was thinking of maybe making the season a little bit longer by going bi-weekly, but that enters into a whole host of problems, especially since the actual show, the actual thing that's produced every week is called Commissioners Weekly. It would have to have a branding change in order to be consistent. So I said, it's probably not going to work out. So I need more time to work on scripts for season 11, which is the rest of the year. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put together some compilation videos that is going to basically buy me time so that I can produce even better shows. And as I was discussing that online with the channel members, which has been very supportive. I'm so grateful for all the channel members and their input and their feedback. I think that's wonderful. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in about a month's worth of those things. That's about the time that I need. The way the shows have been produced in the past, and this might be a little technical, I record 4 shows at a time and 4 different scripts. And then editing and posting and formatting and all the other stuff that has to be done is done during the weeks leading up to their actual publication on the channel. I want to make it so I'm doing 6 shows so that there's more time to do the shows well and to edit them well. So that's one of the big things that I wanted to make sure that members knew about, and anyone that's watching the video, later on or live. I want you to know about these things. For 5 years, I did a lot of shows, 10 seasons. That's 2 each year. So that's it's amazing. And that pace, unfortunately, because of other things and with my commitments to scouting, I can't do everything. It's just getting too hectic, and things are falling away. I've even lost the track on doing 4 shows at a time, recording them. Instead, I'm doing them weekly, and that is it's like an all-night editing session. So it's not good. And plus then, 2 days later, I've got an Eagle board, or the next day I've got an Eagle board that I have to do, so that I have to be bright and chipper and sharp for those kinds of things. And I want to make sure that the shows aren't suffering. I worry about that. I want to make sure that they're good and that they're informative and that they have content that you want. And it should be evergreen. So a lot of most of the stuff on the channel is evergreen. So you can go back and look at it. There are a few that do change over time, different rules for different things. But just to let you know, things are actually going to get really cool for the members. Members are going to start getting some nice little perks. I believe I'm probably going to do some more shorts that are only for members. So if you're not a member, join. Okay. If you are a member, be excited, because that's coming down the line. And shorts, they're not scripted. So they're a little fun.
All right. Well, we have another comment or question. Okay. Someone asked, can someone's Eagle Scout award be taken away?
Not that I know of.
I don't believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awarded to the individual at the time they get it. It's their responsibility to live the rest of their life by that Scout law. I did do a video about being kicked out of scouting, and that's very rare. It's extremely rare. So most of the time they voluntarily leave. I don't believe we've had real issues with that. So I don't think somebody can have their Eagle taken away. So I know that some people relinquish, whatever reason. They might say, I'm no longer going to think of myself as an Eagle Scout. That's an individual choice. But when you get the Eagle, it's for life. And even if you give it back, you're still an Eagle. So that's how that works. It is one of those huge commitments that young people make to get involved with scouting and living their lives by those commitments. Now, whether you have the medal or wear the medal or acknowledge the medal, it's up to the individual. And if that's the case, then you may want to think about that individual. That might be the problem.
Okay, Aaron asks, how many members do you have? And are you talking about a patch? I think I have asked Stan about a patch. I would like to have one for
I want one.
My camp jacket.
I want a patch so bad. I am working on it. I have the design. Well, the design is our logo. It's the logo of the channel. It's the little perfect scouter statue with the flag in the background. I was thinking of patrol patches. I think that would be awesome. And I want to get that put together. But it's a matter of getting the right amount. These are things I want to give them out. And when I give them out, they're coming out of my own pocket. So, that can get very expensive. Now, as far as memberships, we only have 25 for the channel. That's how many that are there. There's always 3 or 4 that are coming and going all the time. But if we could get the membership up to like 50 or 60, that would be awesome. And then it's just, I'm thinking of getting the members a patch and even put that in like the little gift shop thingy. We could do that. The neat thing about patches, you could just put a stamp on the envelope. It's flexible. It's you can mail them anywhere. So that's the neat thing about patches.
And we had another comment about the history of junior leadership training and different names of different training over the years. So,
Yep, okay. There's been a lot of different ones that have come and gone. Some councils have their own. I remember when I was living in the Mass Bay Confederated Councils in Massachusetts. It was near Boston. I was living in Merrimack, just north of that, and the council there had bones. They called it the bones, and that was their youth leadership. So they would earn their bones, which was basically little bone beads on a leather thong, like the wood badge. So that was their youth leadership training. So every council that was in the day. So we're talking 78, 79, somewhere in that range. So it was in the 70s. So even today you might have that. So it varies.
We have another listener, another viewer, apparently has applied for a job at summer camp and has not heard back from them. Well, probably they should reach out and check what if the camp. Check in with the camp, I would guess.
Yes, definitely. Call the office at the camp and find out what's going on. A lot of camps have already decided their schedule. So it depends on what you applied to go into or what kind of position you want to fill. If you're at a summer camp and you're going back to that summer camp for another year, that's something that they work out during that summer, what they're going to be doing the next year. So, it's some of the jobs are already filled. So if it's brand new, if you're just getting in, it may not be a space for you. So that's that. I ran into that issue when I wanted to be a CIT at Makajuan. So just there wasn't any space for me. So I ended up filling in where I was. So, and that's good too. So
we have another listener asking, are you planning to attend the 2026 Jamboree?
Ooh, at Summit. I haven't made up my mind yet. I think that the local council's contingent leaders are being selected as soon as they get back from NOAC, which I believe is going on. It's Colorado or something. But I think that that's what they're working on. So if they need help, I'll be glad to help. But and it's a wonderful thing to go to the Jamboree because it's held at the Summit, which is in West Virginia. If you're from West Virginia, I wasn't born there. My father was. So West Virginia is absolutely beautiful. It is breathtaking. It's online with like the Keys, kind of breathtaking. It is beautiful. Those mountains are gorgeous. The camp is right on the New River, and it is just absolutely, almost heaven, as John Denver said. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. It's really well worth going. And I stopped collecting Jamboree stuff when it went to the Summit. That was kind of my dividing line of my collection. And I want to start up again. I want to get back involved in Jamboree. I think Jamborees are awesome. My Jamboree was the 1977 Jamboree. I was at Moraine State Park. That's where I went to the Jamboree as a youth. Got another one. Ken
comments, I use your YouTube videos for my commissioners meetings and roundtables.
Awesome.
They come in handy and are very informative.
Oh, thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate it. Ken's been a member forever. I mean, he's a gold star. It's amazing. That is awesome. Thank you, Ken. If there's something you want me to, talk about particular, there are some holes still in season 11. So, and that's true for all the members of the channel, all of the non-members of the channel. I need suggestions. So feel free to send in those suggestions. If you have a script, that would be very helpful. So that's up to you. But if you have an idea and you want me to cover it, I'll be glad to at least put it on the whiteboard. Now you'd be surprised. The whiteboard is getting slim pickings. There's not many on the whiteboard anymore. A lot of them have been put on to season 11. So, which will be fun. Right.
Ken made an additional comment. He has invited the Wood Badge director for their council to watch some of your videos on Wood Badge, and awesome. They really reinforce everything that the director said.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I'm Ken knows I'm a diehard scouter like he is, and we believe in the program. And Wood Badge for the adult leaders is so critical. It is one of those wonderful things. And when you go to Wood Badge, you're put into a critter. Your patrol becomes a critter. And it's amazing how people get into that. It is just amazing still to this day. But I think that Wood Badge is one of the critical things of training. And earlier, I was talking about a troop that had national youth leadership training funds put aside for a youth. There are troops that do that for their assistant scoutmasters for Wood Badge. There are troops that do that. They put money aside. And they may not go this year, so that money just rolls over to the next year so that they can get a few more to go to Wood Badge. And some of these huge mega troops, I have one troop that has about 90 scouts in it. That's almost 12 patrols. It's huge. It's a gigantic troop, but they have 14 assistant scoutmasters. All of them are Wood Badge trained because they put that money aside because they need that adult leadership to train the youth. It's a huge troop, gigantic. It's an enormous troop. So it is a challenge. And so that being the case, okay. Wood Badge is important. And not all troops have that funding available. So, but it's money well spent. It's a good thing. So definitely do it if you can.
Okay, we have another question. I won't put this one up, but have you ever experienced a case where a scout shouldn't complete a board of review, or it doesn't pass a board of review, I guess?
That is a very Common question. I get that a lot. A board of review is just what it says. It's a board of review. It's a bunch of scout leaders reviewing the scouts' accomplishments. They may have questions. They may interview the scout and ask questions. Did you learn stuff along the way? That kind of thing. They never retest. None of that's going on. So boards of review are only held if all the stuff is there to be reviewed. So passing it, if you have the board of review, most likely, unless there's something extreme, that they're going to pass because they're having the board of review in the first place. The guide to advancement actually goes into great detail what happens when the board of review is not successful. If there's a big problem. There are horror stories out there of things that happened at a board of review that are not good. And in that case, it's not that they failed. They just didn't complete it. They might take a break. They might say, well, we're going to take a hiatus for a while. We're going to get some answers to those questions and try to make sure that this issue is ironed out before we continue. They might take a break. So it's not that they failed, it's just on hold, and they might come back and finish it. That's been known to happen. Sometimes the scout can actually, in the middle of it, just say, nope, I'm done, and walk out. That's rare. That is super rare. I only have heard of that happening, but that is something that is asked a lot. It's not our job as advancement to say yes or no. Okay. It's a matter of agreeing with the scout that they did complete everything. That's really what it is. And it's not for us to say, no, I don't think so. That doesn't work out. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do when you get to that. There's a lot of paperwork, as they say. If you have that kind of an issue. So,
Stan, I'm aware of a troop that helps the scouts know what to expect in the board of review, by actually giving them a list of, here's the potential questions you will be asked.
There you go.
And it's not a grilling. It's nothing extreme. It's just kind of asking basic questions. Okay, here's one that I'm going to just read and not put up. Do you have any advice for someone that's interviewing to be a district executive? And what do you think makes a good district executive?
Communications. That is the number one thing that most councils are looking for. Are you a good and effective communicator? Can you make a point? Can you read a speech? Can you do those things that are kind of implied in the job? If you can do those and do them well, you'll do well in the interview. So I think that's one of those things. It's communications. And, that's true with a lot of management positions. You need somebody that can communicate a goal and make sure that it is divided up with the people who know how to complete a goal and you go and achieve it. It's a team effort, and being a team player and being able to do all those things. That is one of those things in the corporate world that's needed. And but communication is key. If you can communicate and be understood, that's awesome. And in that, you're also a good listener. That's what makes you a good communicator. So always keep that in mind. That's a Woodbedge thing.
So another one that I'll just read. Have you ever heard of cases where an Order of the Arrow pocket flap patch was proposed, but leadership decided that it wasn't a suitable patch?
Yes. Yes, I have. There are some things that are allowed and not allowed on patches. If you look at for instance, I'm in the Tipasaw Lodge. Our Tipasaw Lodge logo is well known. It is from I think it was designed in the 30s, probably about 38, 39, somewhere around there. is when it was designed. And it's the same design over and over and over again. They've never changed it, nor do I think they will. They've done commemorative stuff. They've done contingent stuff. They've done different things, but the overall logo has stayed consistent. The reason is that there's a peace pipe on the logo that's lit. There's actual smoke coming out of it. So if they ever change that logo, if that ever stopped being Tippesaw's logo, it would go away. They wouldn't approve it because that's not allowed on the patch. If you look at some of the Makajuan, I went through my ordeal with Makajuan. They always had a quail, a bird, on their logo. I believe it's a quail or an owl. I don't know. I was only 1 year. I was an ordeal member there. But that was, and it had the red arrow through the owl, not skewering the owl, but it looked like it was, the arrow. I believe they were asked to kind of change the design, move the bird down a little bit so it doesn't look like we're shish kebabbing a poor bird in the air. It's so there's some designs that get changed. I've been to NOAC where people have taken the liberty of using copywritten stuff and put it on patches that they shouldn't have without approval. So they got in trouble. You can do things that are bad, and it makes it very collectible. So the people are coming along and they snatch those up pretty quick. But you can get in trouble with just about anything. But as long as you live your life by the Scout Oath, Scout Law, and live by the Order of the Arrows, their stuff, to make sure that all of that stuff is followed, I think you'll be just fine. So I don't think there'll be a problem.
Okay, we have a question from Scout Hero, which I think is a very significant question. Okay. How can we get more people in a troop? Recruiting.
Yes, recruit. This is one of the big things that I've been yelling about for years and years and years. And if you followed what I've done in the past, I was the recruiting person for 2 districts. And, the same district, they had 2 name changes. But that being the case, now that I'm in advancement, I look back and I think, that was so smart to say recruit year round. There's every single month, even if your pack or troop isn't meeting, say, for instance, the summertime and everybody's at summer camp, there should be something every single month that could be done. There are videos on the channel that talk about year-round recruiting. If you're not literally going out and talking with parents, and that's really how you recruit, you talk to parents. If you're not doing that, you're preparing for it. You're either working on the handouts or working on a plan for the year or getting some of the updates done as far as the calendar and things that you hand out, the little recruitment packet that you put together for your unit. These are the things you need to be working on year round, all the time. Every scout leader, like committee people and even the scoutmaster, assistant scoutmasters, quartermaster, everybody, all the scout leaders, the adult leaders, should have an envelope in their car. Okay. Because that's typically when you go out. And for instance, if you're going to eat dinner before you go somewhere and somebody sees you in uniform and a parent comes up and asks you questions about scouting and you've recruited them, you got to have a calling card and a packet and stuff like that. Having it in the car, it's ready. That's how you do it year round, all the time. There are opportunities. It's not living by the seasonal district or council recruitment. You want to do year round. Have your table at the school for Meet the Teacher. Have your, whatever activities are going on. There's a lot of opportunity to recruit. And then once they're recruited, you want to make sure that they start doing the recruiting too. I did a video on that, on getting your youth to bring a friend to Scouts. if you have 10 new recruits and they all brought scouts, you got 20 scouts, just like that. And what's really cool is you get an opportunity to present them with their little recruiter patch. Okay. You'd be amazed what youth will do for that recruiter patch. They will recruit like crazy. Okay. So have that opportunity for them to really buy into this whole scouting thing with your unit. So definitely have your youth be your biggest recruiter. And of course, all your other adult leaders need to be prepared. Be prepared. That is a great slogan. We ought to put that on patches. Be prepared to recruit. That's the thing. And I'll tell you what, with things going on in scouting, we are poised. We are ready for a resurgence. Okay. We've had our hits. We've had things go down a little bit, but it's coming back because, the Scout Oath and Scout Law written so long ago and lived for so many years. It's never gone out of fashion, and that's always going to come back. So keep that in mind. Keep recruiting. I could just say that for the rest of the night.
All right. We have a comment that the best way to recruit is peer-to-peer. If scouts are having fun, they're going to ask their friends to come along and check it out, and hopefully they'll join.
Yeah. That is the best thing. In fact, my son refused to join scouting. When I wanted him to get into Cub Scouts so bad, I really, really asked him. I was moving around a lot, and I wasn't there a lot of times. I was out of country or something. And when we moved back home to Orlando, I said, okay, we're gonna do this scouting thing. And I was thinking about really getting into it, start really, kind of pushing him towards it. I wanted him to think that it was him choosing it. Well, one day he comes running home with a flyer from school, and his best friend, his new best friend, he's known for 3 days, wants him to come to a scout night. Okay. So peer to peer, it works. It worked. And I went with them, and I was having a great old time, and I was thinking, gee, this is wonderful. I think this is great. And sure enough, they asked, is there any Eagle Scouts here? And my son just joined in Cub Scout, just joined. He's jumping up and down saying, and the lady says, no, you can't be an Eagle Scout. You're joining Cub Scouts. He says, oh, I'm not an Eagle Scout. My dad is. I was right under the bus. That was it, man. I was the Cub Master.
You were volunteered. Congratulations.
I was voluntold. It was, but I'll honestly, it was absolutely the best. It was stressful. Yeah, it was stressful. Not from the Cub Scouts. It was all from the parents. I will admit that. But I loved it. They just loved it. It was so much fun. And we had it was a once a month thing for a Cub Master, because the den leaders, that's what I was thinking. I'd be a den leader, but nope, ended up being Cub Master. That was just the way it ended up.
We have another recruiting recommendation, which is for scouts in a troop to interact with their local Cub Scout packs.
Yep.
Because Cub Scouts in a pack are future Scouts BSA members in a troop.
Yep. The number one thing, and then write this down, den chief. Okay. You need den chiefs. Every single unit starts by using their den chief. Now, don't tell anybody this is a recruiter in disguise as a den chief. Okay. They're going to go in there and they're going to look sharp in their uniform in front of a bunch of Weeblos or Arrow of Lights. And they're going to look sharp in front of them. They're going to show them how to build a fire. Okay. or they're going to tell them about all the really cool stuff they did at summer camp, or how they did he swam a whole mile, these are the things that the Cub Scouts want. And they will come in groves, and they'll follow that scout right over the bridge, right into that troop. They are the recruiters, the Pied Piper that's going to bring all those scouts into your troop. So building that relationship, you're absolutely right. You got to build those relationships, not just one pack. You can build it with several. So, that's the thing. You have to give scouts options. As I said earlier, scouting is different every unit. Every unit, different focuses. So they're going to shop around. Okay. Yeah, they might tend to go over the bridge and be the Pied, follow that Pied Piper, that den chief into a patrol in that troop. But that may not be a good fit for some of the scouts. So you have to be able to do other kinds of recruitment and just keep recruiting and recruiting. And den chief's a good place to start.
We have a comment echoing the importance of the den chief position. And, one of our commissioners in our own council commented that the key ingredient for a den chief to be successful in the position is if the cub master is interested in having den chiefs.
Yes.
And then the cub master will support it or make it happen. And the pipeline is very real. Cub Scouts to Scouts VSA, yes.
Well, with Cub Masters, den chiefs are wonderful. They can do all kinds of neat things like walk-ons, and they can do different skills. They can do the greeting at the very beginning. They have like a game or something to keep the scouts occupied while the parents want to talk. There's a lot of opportunity for den chiefs to really help out at a pack meeting. The real big place is that the den chief is at a den meeting with the small group of scouts, Cub Scouts, that want to learn a skill. And that's the neat thing about a den chief. And a den leader, if they use that den chief right, they can get a lot of mileage out of that. They can get a lot of really good meetings and really do some incredible things. So there's a whole bunch of, and I've done a few videos on that. I was brought to my attention that I did so many videos about den chief and den chief history and all that stuff. I never did anything about the den chief award. I don't know how I lost that, but season 11 will have a den chief award video. So that'll kind of wrap things up. And some of that is recruiting.
All right. A comment referring to a previous question. The district executive job is a sales role. You are selling scouting in your new assigned area and helping start new units and helping fundraising. It's a great first job.
Yep, it is. And a lot of young people right out of college could easily make this a fantastic jumping point for management in not only just in scouting, but if you get to a point where you need to move on from scouting, it's a great thing to have in your quiver for the next job. And he's right. It is a sales job. And the big thing about that is communicating, being able to effectively sell scouting, the ideal of scouting. That's the key. That is the key. And if you go through the interview and you talk to them, that's really the key. Here's another key. When I was interviewing people for a job, for a living, I always found it interesting when the person that I'm interviewing starts interviewing me. That they better have some questions and they better talk more about that kind of stuff. And that is very impressive. Okay. Don't feel afraid to ask questions if you're in an interview. And this is true. It's a life lesson. Make sure that every question they ask of you, you ask something of them. That should be a give and take. It's not a one-way street. And if it's a one-way street, that's very telling to management. So you got to think about that too. So that's a good sign, but it's a life lesson. So I think this was for the person that was asking about being interviewed for a professional position in scouting. And it doesn't pay that well, really, but it pays well in knowing that you're in a very noble thing. My father was a professional scouter, and he always thought of it as a mission. It was very religious in many ways. So he believed in it firmly. It was something that he really was into. So I think I am too. I think a lot of leaders are.
We have a video idea.
Ah,
Could you think about creating a video on fundraising ideas?
I did talk about fundraising. There is a fundraising video. I think I'm on the thumbnail holding $1 and there's popcorn behind me. So I think it's on all the different kinds of fundraising. There's a lot of different types of fundraising, and you do have to be careful in some regards. So I did do a video on the types of fundraising because there's 3 different types. There's unit level, there's individual level, and then there's council or district level. So there's different kinds of fundraising that the unit can be a part of. Individual is a lot like an Eagle project, whereas of course the unit could be selling Christmas trees or doing meat sticks. I think is a new thing that they're doing. That's something that could be done as a unit. And then there's different things that are sponsored through your council, like popcorn or camp cards and stuff like that. So there is a video. There is one already. I'm thinking about maybe doing a video that's more towards things that are not necessarily in the box per se, more of out of the box kind of thinking with some kind of fundraising. One of the out of the box things that I actually never really thought about was the my scout troop when I was living in Illinois. They had one time they bought a lot, rented a lot for Christmas tree sales. But every single Christmas tree, we wrote down the address and the phone number. And every November, when we ordered our trees, we would we would call. And we never had to rent that lot again. And we just did things through the phone. And the parents kind of did that. And that was fundraising. We had brand new stuff all the time for our very small troop. So it was very well done. That was very out of the box. We never had a problem with all going to summer camp. That was pretty neat.
And there's a question I guess I deleted that was probably from someone that's not involved in scouting. And I would just comment that in scouting, we have youth protection training and very detailed policies regarding, multiple adults present, 2 deep leadership. Yep. And I guess I would encourage that viewer to learn about all the things that scouting does with the youth protection training to provide many safeguards.
It's different than it was in the very distant past. It was, we've learned. Scouting has learned. People have learned. Society has learned. There are bad actors out there, and it's unfortunate, but scouting has taken every precaution possible to prevent a problem. And it's not a panacea. It's not perfect. Okay. There are issues, there are problems occasionally, but they're taken care of. And that is one of those things about scouting that is, I think the general public has some bad misunderstanding about it. And we need to just stick to the scout law, doing a good turn daily, living up to the scout oath. And that's one of those things. If we can do that, if we can be that example, I believe that new parents coming along, once they learn all about youth protection training and all the things we go through, I think that's going to really change people's minds. And if you can change their mind, you can change their heart. And that is critical when you're dealing with teaching young people consistent morals. That's really what morally straight means, consistent morals. If you can teach them to use that in their life in the future, and they understand that, they know you got their best interest at heart. And that's the key. And if you keep them safe with the 2 deep leadership, we've always believed in buddy system. That's always been around. But that also has to be with the adults too. So
let's see, Relantel comments, there are exciting things happening in venturing. Our crew youth have recruited enough program youth lately to almost double the size of their crew in the last month. That is
awesome. That is awesome. Wow.
We're
Blow
also
the wheels up. You're going to have some adventures.
We're also part of a troop that has roughly doubled since the start of the year. So
see, I think we're on that edge. We're on that edge. I think all across America, I'm hearing, oh, wait, we got like five new guys just joined. You know, I have 5 new scouts. Really? It's just like, and then another 5 the next meeting next week. I mean, it's amazing. Venturing is one of those things from, I think it's 14 to 21. Venturing, I have a crew that is going to Scotland. They're into big adventure. Scotland, every 2 years, they do, I think it's called a moot, MOOT. I'm not sure, moot. And they go to this every 2 years, and it's usually 10 days long. And it's in Scotland. It's in and it's beautiful. And they go out, they fly out, and then they spend several days sightseeing. So, and it is just one of those trips that is a memory for these young people, and that international connection with all the people at that particular event. It's amazing. The European scouting in Europe, and I believe in Africa too, Asia and Africa is also, they don't wear their scarves under the collar like they do in the U.S. They wear them over the collar, and sometimes they just wear their scarf. So, and that's something that this venture crew does, and it's a neat thing. It's a neat thing to see a venture crew get together and do things, but they can do other things during the week. They can go, there's all different kinds of stuff that youth just want to get into. The worst case scenario is go play miniature golf. It should be fun. Scouting has got to be fun. So otherwise they're not going to ask their friends to join, right? So we got to make it fun.
All right, Relantel, we're getting pretty low on questions here. Our camp out over Memorial Day weekend even featured 2 Discovery ranked boards of review, where the youth were the members of the board of review and the advisors were silent.
Pretty cool. Well, the board of review is typically committee people. They're not the scoutmaster or the assistant scoutmaster usually. And that's when they go over all of those things. One of those things that's kind of neat is the let's see if it's one of the things that's really neat about the board of review is if I don't know. I'm all of a sudden I'm thinking of several things. I don't know if that's age or what. So, one of the wonderful things about a board of review is that it's a lot like when you've ever heard the term throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. That's kind of what scouting is. We have all these things, all these noodles of scout law, scout oath and stuff, and we throw them against the wall to see what sticks. Eventually, when you do that, you'll see that scout's going to stick to these things. They're going to say, oh, I stick to God and country. I'm patriotic and I have a faith and I'm active and I do things for others. And I try to keep myself physically awake and good and healthy. And I base all my decisions on morals based from keywords out of the scout law. That's what a board of review should be. That's where that spaghetti hits the wall. So that's the neat thing about a board of review. And when I got into advancement, I started doing these boards of review, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be really hard. No, you get to sit with the best scouts who have been with the best leaders, and they have the best parents you could ever possibly think. It is truly a gift. And it's wonderful to hear them, and it does my soul good to think that this young person has taken scouting to heart, and they are going to go from that board of review and spread their wings and just be awesome. It's a golden moment, and to be a part of that is really special. So don't ever shy away from boards of review. Just go and be on them if you can. There's rules and stuff. It's all covered in the Guide to Safe Scouting, or the Guide to Advancement, and make sure it's all 2D leadership and all that stuff. So that's there's a bunch of things. I keep thinking of more stuff. So, that's the wild thing about scouting. There's so many little facets and things that's it can be amazing.
Okay, so Matt is in a troop in West Babylon, New York, and wondering, are you perhaps familiar with his troop? Do you know of any troops in West Babylon, New York?
West Babylon, New York. No. I lived in Saratoga, which is just north of Albany. That's where we were. My father was the scout executive for, it was a council that was combining with the Balsam Spa Council, which is in New York, into the Saratoga Council. So that's where I am. I'm familiar with that in upstate New York, not the western half. That would be over towards the Niagara area, other side of the Finger Lakes, I believe.
And I just thought I'd throw up the link in response to what I thought Matt was asking. In order to find a unit in your area or an area that you might be moving to, be a scout, all one word, .scouting.org. So
awesome. Thank you.
And I'm just going to leave that link up there for a little bit for people to get it, and I'll read the next question. How do you feel about leaders having their own patrol? And Aaron is saying that in their troop, the leaders have a patrol which they call the Old Goats Patrol. I think that's awesome for that.
I've seen that badge. The adults do have, that is a patrol. The adult leadership, the scoutmaster, and all the assistant scoutmasters, that is a patrol. A lot of big units will actually incorporate what they call the green bar into their patrol. The green bar is senior patrol leader, assistant senior patrol leader, or there's you can have 2 or 3 of those. But the green bar patrol, the PLC, the Patrol Leaders Council, they often they don't camp with, but they will often eat with the scoutmasters all together. The reason they do that when they're camping is so that they can eat and then go right out from there. They don't do the dishes or anything. They go right from there back to leading the rest of the troop, making sure that they're getting the food prepared and done and eaten and cleaned up. So that's the reason they do that. And it also gives the scoutmasters a time to hear feedback from them of things they need to be aware of and watch for. So that's a in-house kind of leadership thing. Okay. But that's as far as that patrol, I've been part of the duct tape patrol. We help it. We help the troops stick together, the duct tape patrol. I was a member of the Old Goats, the rocking chairs. That was another one. What was it? There was there was so many different ones. But duct tape, I was in that one for the longest. But it is a thing. And if you go to Wood Badge, you have a critter. So a lot of people will wear 2. A lot of the adult leaders, they'll actually wear 2 patrol patches, one for their troop, representing the old timers. That's another one. Or the Bob Whites or the Eagles or the Bears, which is something from Wood Badge. So they're both. So you could be with more than one patrol as an adult leader.
All right. This one, I believe, is in reference to recruiting. Nothing wrong with mini golf. My pack is going mini golfing next week as a summer activity. Excellent. In fact, a scoutmaster that lives down the street from me is going to be teaching the Golf Merit Badge to scouts and multiple troops from our city probably next month. So we're looking forward to golf up here.
Wow. It is, mini golf is awesome. A lot of times, I think it's every year they do a mini golf tournament with our local chapter of the OA. They will go and they'll do a big playoff, and it was for many years, it was a big deal. We were known as the Tosahatchins, which is the Tosahatchee was the crazy chickens. And we did a lot of fun stuff. And every year we had the honorary, it was a golf ball that we drilled a hole through. And that's an adventure if you've ever tried. We put the hole in there and it's got a chicken feather in it. And that was the award. And man, do we have some competition for that. And it was every year. And they had to, the year before had to pass it down or re-earn it. So it was quite a thing. So miniature golf's fun. I think it's great. Are we out of questions yet?
Yeah, this is the last question in reference to councils in Western New York. The Iroquois Trail Council is where this viewer achieved the Eagle Award in 2008 in Wilson, New York, outside of Niagara Falls.
Wow. Yeah, that's the neat thing is that if you've been to upstate New York, it's gorgeous. The Finger Lakes and around the Niagara are beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful place. And upstate New York, that was the first time I went apple picking. I had never picked apples, and since then I don't think I have. But it's wonderful. It is wonderful. My first job, my so-called work world, was working at the Saratoga racetrack. I was one of the stable boys, and I never saw a horse the whole time. I saw what they did, but I never saw a horse. The stable boys, you don't want to frighten a racehorse. That's not good. They were out running and exercising like they should, but they wanted to come back and put them in nice clean stalls. So you had a very limited time. So you had to clean up after them. So, but that was a great job. I enjoyed it, but my mom sure didn't. She said I stank. So like horse.
All right, Steve asked a question: should scouts remove their hat for the Pledge of Allegiance while indoors?
Pros and cons to that. If you're wearing let's say one of those campaign hats or one of the licensed hats from BSA that has the supply division licensing logo on the inside, that is part of the uniform. And you should salute instead of the corner of the eye, but the corner of the hat. So it's a different type of salute. It's a little bit different. Any other hats, ball hats, any of those other things should be removed as respect. And that's true for the prayer and it's true for the flag. Those things should be removed immediately when the flag is entering the room. There's some pros and cons. I've talked with some military that I highly respect. They say that once the flag enters the room, the hat should drop over the heart. And if you're in uniform, you salute. That's what they tell me. It really depends on the color guard. If the color guard wants you to salute, they'll tell you. So that's really what I go by. You got to keep in mind, we're not military. We do observe a lot of things like the military, but scouting is a peace movement. We even wear the flag differently. The flag that's on our shoulder, this is not in the same position as you would see on a military uniform. So that is the reason. But we respect the flag, and all Americans should. And as far as removing your hat, yes. If it is part of your uniform, you don't remove it. You salute differently. So it's a different type of salute. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. And we just had another question pop up.
Okay.
Alex asked, is it possible for a Cub Scout pack to have more than one den of the same rank, such as 2 lion dens, 2 bear dens, etc.? This would
Sure.
probably happen if it's a fairly large pack.
Oh, yeah. Yes. If you have a pack and they've got more, yes, definitely. Now, the thing about, I believe it's lions and tigers, the 2 younger ones, it's kindergarten and first grade. They have a lot of parent interaction. So it's not, if you have 10 lions, okay, you could have 30 people standing there, mom and dad and the scout. So that is a big group. So splitting them up might be better. You can give more attention, and the younger scouts, the Cub Scouts, need more attention. They deserve more attention. They need to be explained and helped and so on. So, and the parents are there because of that. So those are the 2 I would say that would be fine. But I can remember when I was Cub Master, we had 3 Weeblos. Back then it was Weeblos 1 and Weeblos 2. They didn't call the second one Arrow of Light because it was a 2-year commitment program for Arrow of Light. And back then, we had 3 dens at one time. We had 2 in the second year, and we had 1 first year. So that was, and it's fine. They were just really big. And Cub Scouts is adult led. It's not youth led. And when you get into the older scouts, they need just as much attention as the younger ones. Bears and wolves, not so much. But it depends. You could have some exceptions. So that's a possibility.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, and we're coming up on past an hour and 45 minutes. So
we still have 21 here. That's great. All right. Well, the last call for questions, I guess. The one thing I don't do with the live show is that I don't edit the live show. This goes online, and the reason I don't edit is because all of the comments on the side, if I edit, it detaches them and they just poop, that's gone. So if you're looking at this later, I don't edit anything at the end. Okay, so that there's a little strange ending on this with a blank spot for, I think it's 30 seconds. That's for tags and stuff that go in at the end. So if you're watching it live, that's kind of why the ending is the way it is. So always keep that in mind. We try to make it convertible, and I think the idea and suggestion is accepted and approved to make some videos from some of the best up stuff out of the live streams. That'll be great. Every meeting I download those to make sure I get a nice good copy to leave for editing or changing if I need to make a neat video. So we got it all. Mike, I think we have answered all the questions.
All right, great. Let's do this again a month from now. Oh, here's one more question.
Right, one more quick one.
What is your favorite meal for Cub Scout camping? I would say something that's fun to make that the kids will enjoy eating. That's my answer, but I'll let you answer.
I like stir fry as a good meal. Stir fry's got all those nice veggies and nice flavors and omanji and all the nice things I love in food. So a nice stir fry on the big pan, big skillet, and that's always a good thing. And then if there's any left over, you put it in the ice box, and the next morning you put it in your eggs. So that's an option. That's what I would suggest. And of course, hot dogs and those flaming little balls of white fluff. What do they call it? Marshmallows. That's what that is. Did you know that a marshmallow if you catches on fire, you can wave it around and it will stay on fire. I had Cub Scouts tell me that.
All right. Hey, I'll just comment. Relantel gifted 5 memberships, so thank you very much, Relantel.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I did notice there was a bunch of them on the list, the waiting list. So thank you so much. That is awesome. You know, that's another thing. Keep recruiting here. It'll all work out. Yep. The things I learned in Cub Scouts. I need to make a T-shirt like that. That'll be fun. You know, did you know if you wave it around and it comes off of the stick, it'll stay, the flaming marshmallow will stay lit until it hits whatever it hits. So not good. So life lessons. All righty. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here and asking the questions and stuff. We'll probably stick around for some stragglers on the questions, maybe. I don't know. Anyhow, thank you so much. And I will definitely see you guys, all of you, on the trail.